Good afternoon. Today is the 6th of July and it's time for yet another very vague, not particularly interesting and probably quite boring vlog. I know I'm wearing a jumper on a warm day, viewers. I'm afraid that's just the kind of daft decision which I make every day of my life. So today we're going to be talking about more daft decisions, and we're going to be discussing the ultra low emission and clean air zones once again, despite the fact that I don't really want to be talking about this very much. There are lots of other channels who talk about these things more, and you know, they seem to enjoy going on about them. I have made so many videos about the ultra low emission and clean air zones over the past 5 years that I don't really like sort of going on about it very much. I don't find it particularly a lot of fun, but you know, some of you probably want to hear about the latest things and what my thoughts might be about them. Some of you don't. It's too bad. If you're watching this video, I'm afraid that's what we're going to be talking about. So here we are, just outside the centre of Winchester, which is where I'm from. My lady wife and I live in Eastleigh, which is not too far from there, because when we needed to move down here in 2019, we couldn't afford to live in Winchester, which is not surprising because many people can't afford to live here. But I've just been visiting my mother, who is actually in a care home these days. She's doing okay, but I'm just sort of thinking about whether Winchester would ever get one of these. I mean, we're not massively far away from Portsmouth. Portsmouth's already got one of these clean air zones. Now, it doesn't apply to private cars at the moment. It only applies to taxis and things like that. But who knows what's going to happen with that in the future? Who knows if Southampton's going to get one of those? It's a city that's not, dissimilar in size to Portsmouth. It's closer to here than Portsmouth is, and we're more likely to actually go there than we are to go to Portsmouth. There's also one of these in Bath. There's another one that's just sort of gone live in Glasgow. That's actually affecting private traffic as well. There's one planned for Edinburgh in 2024. There's just loads of them. But particularly what I want to discuss is not so much that, although that is obviously a concern, and we may get to a stage soon where these just things are everywhere, even in small cities like Winchester, that they turn up. But it's actually about the events that happen, the classic car events in particular, that happen around these cities. Now, the one that you will be most familiar with, apart from the Bromley pageant that we discussed in very vague vlog number 99, this is number 102, is the London to Brighton mini run. Now, Mr. Bill from the Fuel Power channel, who I've known for a number of years, and we've seen his car, the 91 Mini City, on the channel many times. In fact, I did a video on it specifically in 2020. He told me last weekend what was going to happen. It's before the video that appeared on the Jeff Buys Cars channel, by the way, so I didn't know about that before Mr. Hunter sort of did that video. And obviously if you want to know more about it specifically, then you can just go and watch that, can't you? If that's your cup of tea, maybe it's not. But he said that they're just cancelling it. It's not just to do with the ultra low emission zone, it's also to do with just Brighton Council and the cost of hiring the Madeira Drive for the finish of the event, and their parking restrictions and things like that, and the fact that they just don't really want cars in Brighton. It's quite obvious they don't want them there. It's straighten that slowly. Oh yeah. They clearly just don't want cars in Brighton. They just don't really want them there. Rather like the Mayor of London doesn't want cars in his city, which is quite obvious. He doesn't want them because he was the first one ever to introduce the ultra emission zone, and the expansion of that is supposed to go live next month. I really hope it doesn't, but at the moment the evidence that I'm seeing, and put the window up a bit, is that will still happen, despite some very brave people who've got in and started to take the cameras down and cut the cables and all sorts of things. Now that, of course, is completely illegal, and I wouldn't ever endorse doing something like that, because you know, you get in a lot of trouble for doing it. But that just shows the sentiment of feeling against the ultra low emission zone expansion area in London. And of course we know that Bromley pageant at the moment won't be able to take place in Norman Park in Bromley in 2024, because that's inside the ultra low emission expansion area, and the cars which go there, a lot of them would be affected by it. It's cars from about 1983, sometimes all the way round to 2015, if you've got a car that has an engine that we can't discuss on this channel because the Mayor of London says that we can't. So yeah, a lot of cars at Classic Car Show would be between, I don't know, 1983 and the year 2000, and those are the most likely to be affected. This Volvo I'm driving is a 91. This isn't compliant with the ultra emission zone or clean air zone or anything. So, you know, the Enfield classic car, I think it's also called the Enfield Motoring Pageant or something like that. That wouldn't be able to happen. I think it's May Bank Holiday weekend, the second one in May, that happens. That wouldn't be able to happen. It just sort of goes on, really, and you kind of think, how much further can this possibly go? You know, what's the end result of all this? Are we never going to be able to do anything? Obviously, cars from before 1983 are absolutely fine. A lot of petrol cars from maybe 2001, 2002 onwards are okay. My Row 45 V6 is fine. But equally, you know, you need a Euro 6 car with an engine that we can't discuss, mainly from like September 2015 onwards, to be compliant with these zones. And a lot of the ones are not. There's so many examples of people who depend on cars for livelihood, visiting loved ones, doing business, all that kind of stuff, and their cars aren't compliant, and you don't get a discount for being a resident. There's no sort of mercy for sort of anything. I think it's just a really sort of big problem. There's how many more events, like the Underground Mini Run, the Enfield Motoring Pageant, the Pageant of Motoring, how many of these are going to get cancelled? It's just utter madness. And those of you who do live within these zones, and obviously there are more coming, it must be affecting you. I remember a viewer of mine who lives in Sheffield sort of saying, you know, once they start to change the criteria for the clean air zone in Sheffield, that he's going to be affected. His car's not compliant. What's he going to do? Just not drive, take the bus, sell the car? I mean, those are the three options for anyone who's affected by these zones. The Birmingham Clean Air Zone has resulted in an astonishing rate of people who actually don't want to pay it. The evasion is enormous. And actually, the cameras have wrongly detected cars which shouldn't be in there and things like that. You know, there's all sorts of different issues surrounding this. And it is just becoming a bit of a nuisance, really, I think. Whether or not you subscribe to the fact that there are environmental reasons for taking some of the older cars out of the zones. In some zones like Bristol, it's not even like you pay £12.50 a day and you bring any car in you want. It's like you can't bring the car in at all. You can't bring a non-compliant car in. Well, then you can pay. And so maybe it's just about, you know, raising money for the council leaders and mayors or whoever. I don't know. Maybe that's all it is. I'm saying that because I don't know. I'm not a politician. I source cars for people and make rubbish YouTube videos. That's what I do. But seeing this all unfold over a long period of time, much longer than a lot of the channels we've been talking about, was actually because I was directly affected by this myself when I realised I had to get rid of my car because it didn't meet the criteria, despite being a 2014. I had to sell it back in 2017 because I realised that depreciation was going to be appalling. I didn't really want to pay the Mayor of London £12.50 a day. I just didn't want to do that, and I can understand why many people who are watching this video would not want to pay the Mayor of London £12.50 a day to go about their business. Anyway, I think that's plenty for today. Thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment below, and we shall see you again soon for more incoherent rambling.